with the generous support of the missions of Canada to ASEAN and the Canada Fund for Local Initiatives. Since 2020, while in the depth of global pandemic, the ASEAN-IPR Secretariat initiated the ASEAN-IPR discussion series as an innovation platform to continue carrying out our mandate and function as a research and capacity building institute of peace, conflict resolution, and reconciliation despite the physical limitations at the time. Existing a series of online webinars with 20 sessions carried out so far, covering topics such as conflict resolution and peace building in Southeast Asia, climate change and peace, COVID-19 and peace, human rights and peace, confidence building measures, early warning mechanism, women, as well as youth peace and security. All of these sessions are available on the ASEAN IPR YouTube channel for your leisure viewing. My name is Abul Shah Halevi, and it is my honor to serve you as the Master of Ceremonies for today's sessions in the ASEAN IPR Discussion Series 2025. Today's discussion will pick up the theme of fostering water diplomacy, advancing ASEAN regional water security agenda that will address one of the most pressing challenges of our time, ensuring water security in our region through diplomacy and collaboration. On behalf of the ASEAN IPR and co-organizer, we extend a warm welcome to all of you. It is now my privilege to invite our Executive Director of ASEAN IPR to deliver the welcoming remarks. His Excellency I Gusti Agung Vesaka Puja. His Excellency, the time is yours.
Excellency Ibu Retno Marsudi, the UN Secretary General Special Envoy on Water, Excellency Vicky Singmin, the Ambassador of Canada to ASEAN, and Excellency Mr. Antti Votavara, Finland Special Envoy for Water, Excellencies, members of the ASEAN IPR Governing Councils and Advisory Board, esteemed partners of ASEAN IPR, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome everyone to the ASEAN IPR Discussion Series, Session 3, Fostering Water Diplomacy, Advancing ASEAN's Regional Water Security Agenda. As some of you may be familiar, this is one of the ASEAN IPR continuing flagship initiative where we explore various topics of interest, engaging various experts, think tanks, and academics. A little over a year ago, the ASEAN IPR partnered with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia and the United Nations, including the Department of Political Affairs and Peace Building Affairs and Peace Operations, the United Nations Development Program and the United Nations Environment Program jointly organized the ASEAN-UN Regional Dialogue, or RED6, on climate peace and security. The dialogue built upon research conducted by the Center for Non-Traditional Security Studies of the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies on climate change and its impact on peace and security in Southeast Asia. The research identified that under the issue of water security, the growing intensity and variability of climate change induced weather even should be concern for Southeast Asia because it further exposed population at risk, even those not previously affected to water security issues. This will bring about complex challenges with regard to access to clean water, for agriculture and domestic consumption. Separately, the ASEAN-IPR has also engaged with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Finland, our previous portal for the discussion series, and we became aware of the practices of water diplomacy. We are delighted to have the opportunity to finally be able to provide an avenue to discuss this new approach while at the same time exploring the issue of water security as potential threat to regional security and stability. The ASEAN-IPR endeavors to further exploring and anticipating the emerging threats or disruptions to peace and stability in the regions. Is part of the Institute's functions in contributing to the ASEAN's community building process. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the landscape of peace and conflict are changing. New challenges are emerging, of which we need to anticipate and apply the appropriate actions to prevent these challenges from evolving into a new crisis in our hands. According to the 2024 Southeast Asia Climate Outlook Survey report published by ISIA's ISA Institute Singapore, top three most serious climate impacts includes water, and almost 60% of Southeast Asians believe their lives will be greatly affected by climate change in the next 10 years. Climate change and water security are not just an environmental phenomenon. They have catastrophic effects in lives, livelihood, and socioeconomic development. Climate change also has significant ramifications for peace, stability, and security. Climate change brings about cross-cutting consequences and has trans-border implications. And national solutions, I believe, are no longer sufficient. The compounding impact of climate change and water security could generate new security challenges, the well-being of states and communities, which includes economic security, food security, health security, natural resources, disasters, gender, forced migrations, internal conflicts, geopolitical security dynamics in the Mekong sub-regions in particular, and possibly geopolitical security tensions in the South China Sea. So, robust collaborative actions are required to mitigate its impact. Allow me to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to Her Excellency Ibu Retno Marsudi, who will share her noble perspective and set the tone for our discussions this afternoon, and also to Excellency Mr. Antti Rotavara, who graciously flew from Finland to inspire us today. I thank the mission of Canada to ASEAN through you, Excellency Ambassador Vicky Singmin, for enabling and funding this discussion through the Canada Fund for Local Initiatives and for our robust collaborations. I would also like to extend my thanks to esteemed speakers and moderator and colleagues present here with us today. I wish you all a productive and insightful discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your insightful remarks. Next, we will proceed for opening remarks from Her Excellency Vicky Singmin, Ambassador of Canada to ASEAN. Her Excellency, the time is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Excellencies, ambassadors, members of the ASEAN-IPR Governing Council and Advisory Board, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. And Ambassador Pooja, of course, lovely to see you as always. We do this every few months together. It's a delight to be here today. Thank you for having me. Today's event is the last of 3 discussion seminars organized by the ASEAN Institute for Peace and Reconciliation that Canada has had the pleasure of supporting over the last few months. Each of these seminars has explored a different theme related to effective conflict management and resolution in Southeast Asia. But first, let me start by extending a heartfelt thank you to the ASEAN-IPR for their outstanding effort and dedication in bringing these critical conversations to life, and for the terrific partnership we've enjoyed over the past few months and years. I would also like to acknowledge our very special guest today, Her Excellency Retno Marsudi, the first ever United Nations Special Envoy for Water, and Mr. Antti Rautavaara, Finland's Special Envoy for Water. We're delighted to have you both with us today. Through the Canada Fund for Local Initiatives, Canada is pleased to support today's dialogue on water diplomacy. Water is fundamental to human health, food security, economic development, and environmental sustainability. Yet across the globe, safe and sustainable water resources are under threat. We're facing a water crisis. From transboundary water disputes to mitigating the harmful effects of extreme weather events caused by climate change, the need for effective water diplomacy has never been more critical. The UN Sustainable Development Goal 6 outlines our shared responsibility to find solutions to these challenges and achieve clean water and sanitation for all. In ASEAN, with the Malaysia's 2025 chair theme of inclusivity and sustainability, it is clear that without such solutions, we can have neither sustainable development nor inclusive growth. Five of ASEAN's 10 member states rely on the Mekong River as a vital water resource. I had the pleasure just this past October of being in Vientiane and Lao PDR with Canada's Prime Minister, with my Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, where he visited the Mekong River Commission Secretariat. He spoke to farmers and fishermen who had recently been affected by the flooding caused by Typhoon Yagi and the heavy rains. And standing there beside that saturated river, I was really struck by just how dependent so many people are on the waterways all around us, and how vulnerable we are to extreme weather events. And as you put it, Iwo Retno, when we met previously last week, you said too little or too much water, either one can wreak havoc on communities. And that's why during his visit to Vientiane, Prime Minister Trudeau announced a $2 million contribution to enhance the Commission's efforts to promote sustainable agriculture, improve flood and drought management, preserve the health of the river ecosystem, and improve regional cooperation. For Canadians, water is a vital part of our national identity. Canada is home to the longest coastline in the world and the most freshwater lakes globally. We're fortunate to have a wealth of water resources, but we're honest about acknowledging that our management of this precious resource has not always been perfect. We have faced challenges, many that are shared by ASEAN member states, such as industrial pollution, overfishing, and biodiversity loss. We've not always gotten water issues right in Canada, but we've also learned a great deal from our experiences. For example, Canada has developed extensive experience in dealing with transboundary water issues, such as working with the United States on equitable access of the Columbia River. We're also active in the Arctic Council, engaging with members to enhance cooperation on matters such as resource management, scientific research, and ecosystem protection. And in support of SDG 6, Canada's long-standing contributions to UN agencies such as UNICEF and the World Health Organization have bolstered global efforts to improve water access, sanitation, and hygiene. We're, of course, very pleased to partner with ASEAN organizations such as IPR to leverage Canada's experiences in support of ASEAN's water priorities and ASEAN's Community Vision 2025. Today, of course, our speakers will explore the relationship between clean water access, climate resilience, and global water security. They'll discuss how we can build and strengthen partnerships with organizations, governments, and communities to inspire global action on marine and freshwater conservation. Our ambition in today's discussion is to underscore the importance of collective action to address the global water crisis in all its manifestations. By fostering dialogue, sharing knowledge, and exploring innovative solutions, we can strengthen water diplomacy and deepen ASEAN cooperation, cohesion, and resilience. I very much look forward to our discussion today, to the insights, and to the experiences that will emerge. Well, thank you very much for letting me spend the day with you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your valuable words. Now, it is my honor to introduce our first keynote speaker, Her Excellency Retno Marsudi, as the United Nations Secretary General, Special Envoy on Water. Her Excellency, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Ambassadors, colleagues, friends. First of all, thank you very much for having me, of course, and it is an honor to be here today. And of course, congratulations to IPR and the mission of Canada to ASEAN for organizing this third session of the IPR discussion series. Colleagues, I just landed from Kuala Lumpur 2 days ago for a couple of activities. I had the opportunities to meet the Foreign Minister of Malaysia, and we discussed two main issues. First, of course, I congratulate Malaysia for their chairmanship in ASEAN and wishing them a successful chairmanship. Second, requesting Malaysia to put water issue in the ASEAN agenda during their chairmanship. We have to mainstream water diplomacy. And water agenda must be used to enhance collaboration and cooperation, especially to ensure sustainable development. With sustainable development, peace can be maintained and crises can be prevented. And I'm so glad that the Foreign Minister of Malaysia welcomed the idea and told me stories about how important water and its management, as well as governance, is for ASEAN. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, water is life. It is really true that water is life. And to ASEAN, this is not a new thing. ASEAN Human Rights Declaration and the ASEAN Declaration on Environmental Rights emphasize the importance of water to humans. ASEAN Declaration on Environmental Sustainability declares the commitment to improve water quality and reduce the number of people without access to safe drinking water. And we all know that the hydrological cycle is out of balance, undermining an equitable, sustainable future for all. Colleagues, water connects communities, countries, and continents. We will fail on biodiversity, climate, and land if we fail on water. Water flows through each and all of SDGs. Disruption on hydrological cycle has major economic impacts. It could provoke an 8% decline in GDP in high-income countries and even steeper decline of 10 to 15% GDP in low-income countries by 2050. And as we speak now, nearly 3 billion people and more than half of food production are now in areas where total water storage is projected to decline. In ASEAN, rapid urbanization, climate change, and unsustainable agriculture practices has led to water shortages across the region. It significantly impacts access to safe drinking water and affecting agriculture in many countries. Last year, 6 million children in Southeast Asia were struggling to access clean water, food, and shelter due to the flood caused by Typhoon Yaki alone. Colleagues, right after I was appointed as Special Envoy of the UN Secretary General on Water, I presented my triple A on how to advance and address the issue of water. The first A is advocate. Make each of us aware that we are facing a water crisis. For this purpose, I met with many stakeholders, attended many international multilateral meetings, including today. Once we are aware of the crisis, it will be easier to influence a change of habit as well as change of policies. My second A is align. Aligning efforts are needed to prevent further fragmented approaches which hinder maximum benefit for the people. Aligning here also means cooperation. There are a number of sensitive issues related to water issues and two options for approaches: cooperation or conflict. We have two options. We want to approach it with conflict or we want to approach it by having cooperation. And I'm sure that cooperation should be the only way to address the water issue. And we all know that water is common good, water is life, and we want to live together peacefully. And this is why we need a bolder water diplomacy. And my third A is accelerate. 2028 will be the end of water decade. 2030 will be the target implementation of SDGs. And we must accelerate all commitments that we have made, including within the SDGs, as well as commitment made during the 2023 UN Water Conference. 2 weeks ago, colleagues, I was in Abu Dhabi, among others, to meet with the UAE and Senegal to start preparing the UN Water Conference in 2026. As we all know that UAE and Senegal will co-host the conference. And during the meeting with the UAE and Senegal, I do support the idea to focus on the implementation of water action during the 2026 conference. Colleagues, indeed, time is taking, including for ASEAN, and therefore ASEAN must step up its works and effort. First, ASEAN must strengthen the focus on water agenda in the region. ASEAN must advance water discussion within and among the countries, as well as with dialogue partners. Second, ASEAN should foster cooperation in water agenda in ensuring prosperity and stability for the region. Water does matter. And last, ASEAN should show that water diplomacy delivers. This will inspire other regions on the concrete benefits of water diplomacy. Colleagues, ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, the water crisis is in front of us, and ASEAN and all of us should work together to address the challenges ahead. So let us work together to advance water diplomacy. Water is so important, and because also, once again, water is our life. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your inspiring address. For our second keynote speech, we welcome His Excellency Antti Rautavaara, Finland's Special Envoy for Water. Your Excellency, the time is yours.
Your Excellency, speakers and guests, and ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, Bertrand Mansouri, we were delighted to learn that UN Secretary General Guterres nominated you as the very first UN Special Envoy on water. Your nomination was long awaited by many UN member states since we agreed on establishment of this position at the UN Water Conference 2023. We in Finland are truly delighted that this important position was now being fulfilled with such an experienced and respected high-level professional diplomat as yourself. Especially as you are coming from ASEAN and from one of the leading international water affairs countries, Indonesia. Your Excellency, please trust that Finland is at your disposal and ready to support you in the path towards the coming water conferences. On a personal note, I used to be working at the Tumen River Secretariat in Beijing 23 years ago. And that was the time when I last visited Jakarta. So it's about the time to be here. And I'm really pleased that and honored of the invitation to speak on this topic. Of course, I was in Bali in May, so into Indonesia after that. We in Finland have a very long history of supporting global water architecture to come together. We trust that a special envoy can play a critical role in drawing the political attention to water affairs and cooperation in the coming years as we approach the end of the 2030 agenda and look forward to a new era where water shall continue to be a critical element of life and human rights, and also increasingly of peace and security. We would also like to take the opportunity to commend Indonesia for the remarkable work in advancing the water agenda. The 10th World Water Forum in Bali was an extraordinary example of your commitment. It is important that countries like Indonesia and others are taking active role in promoting water diplomacy and seek to foster conversations between governments and or between fighting parties. As we all know, and this is what we know, there is no life nor ecosystems without water. Water is the cornerstone of water for food security and energy security, and the foundation of human rights, health, and dignity. Yet we are at the crossroads. Globally, 2 billion people still lack access to safe water, and over half of the world population faces water scarcity at least part of the year. The megatrends such as climate change, population growth, and industrial demands are intensifying this crisis, as well as land trapping across the continents and related agricultural product flows, or more precisely, virtual water flows between continents, which are threatening to increase inequalities and spark conflicts over shared water resources. This also with acknowledgement that 60% of freshwater flows are in shared basins, and more than 40% of the world population lives in such basins. At times, countries are securing this, as countries are securing their access to water in a balanced and equitable manner through agreements with true and honest respect to global water conventions and related principles such as principle of reasonable and equitable utilization, as well as principle of cooperation. In less positive cases, countries are securing their interests through unilateral actions, quite typically if one is located upstream at the basin. Fortunately, and this is shown by evidence, transboundary waters have tended to be, at least so far, a source of cooperation rather than conflict. Increasing amount of strategic interest around natural resources are in play by nation states. And within states, also different armed forces and groups are active. One example of such situation is the current turmoil and armed conflict, if not civil war, in Sudan. In Sudan, the most topical issue right now is to secure safe operation of existing dams, specifically Jebel Aulia Dam on White Nile, just a few kilometers upstream from Khartoum. Fighting parties must negotiate and secure dams as critical infrastructure needed for food security and energy security. Acting on this would be a prime example of fostering water diplomacy as part of active peace negotiation track. This also illustrates how global foreign and security policy horizon is changing rapidly. Especially in the recent years, water has become increasingly used as a target or weapon of war, as has been the case in the Russian aggression to Ukraine as well as in Gaza. In Ukraine, water has become a weapon, but as a victim as well. At the Kakhovka Dam explosion, which is related environmental consequences. We are living what appears to be a sunset of globalization and are moving towards a polarized world order. At the same time, in order to respond to the water crisis, we need more than ever cooperation in these transboundary waters. This is why water diplomacy is needed. Another topic that has not received required attention is the Kostepa Canal, which shall divert part of the river Amuk Darya flow from its agricultural needs, likely leaving downstream Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan with steeply depleting flow in Amuk Darya. Kostepa is in Afghanistan. Noteworthy issue is that this looming dispute does also have implications on global geopolitical scenery. As this region, there are also geopolitical interests to be looked after by such powers as China, Russia, and US. I am trustful that in this context, major conflict may be averted with proactive water diplomacy as preventive peace mediation. Worth also mentioned that Finland, of course, has a special relationship with Indonesia and with ASEAN Institute for Peace and Reconciliation. Our late President Martti Ahtisaari, a Nobel Prize laureate, was centrally made available for Aceh peace negotiations, which led to signing of peace agreement in August 2005 in Helsinki, so soon enough, 20 years ago. Those signatures lifted the long shade of war from Aceh and was the result of 8 months of negotiations between the parties. One of the significant learnings of those negotiations was that nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. This principle explains clearly why there is also a need to foster water diplomacy as part of different peace negotiations. It is hard to imagine a sustainable peace in Ukraine, Gaza, or Sudan, or anywhere else without also addressing different transboundary water issues. If nothing else, most often the borders are demarcated by rivers. If we look into Gaza, it is obviously clear that sustainable and positive peace cannot be agreed without looking into sharing and clearing of shared water resources in the region that is facing serious scarcity. Some of this scarcity is due to demarcation of borders during the aftermath of the First World War in the 1920s, as the Tigris Basin was shared between winning powers, leading to well where we are now. In Ukraine, the watershed of River Dniester is covering roughly half of the Ukrainian territory, while the upstream is located in Belarus and Russia. Any prospect for peace agreement needs to be acknowledged. These aspects, as well as infrastructure-related issues such as Kakhovka and its reservoir. This is actually the main means for water supply in the Crimean Peninsula. In addition, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is physically located on the eastern banks of the reservoir. Apparently, these type of issues would be overlooked in power-based negotiations. But there, the parties and international community may just be locking themselves into frozen conflict that with climate change may be gas-fired into full flames in any given moment in future. So the thematic of water peace and security, as well as water diplomacy, are increasingly featuring in the global agenda and regional security cooperation structures. But what do we mean with water diplomacy? In Finland, by Aalto University, we have defined water diplomacy as a dynamic, politically oriented process that aims to prevent, mitigate, and resolve water-related tensions in shared waters by making simultaneous use of diplomatic tools and water know-how. Diplomacy, that's what it actually is, with clear information and guidance for water and natural resources perspectives. It is important also to remember that water diplomacy and transboundary water cooperation are not synonyms. Transboundary water cooperation takes place when riparian countries have arrangement, agreement, or institution for the cooperation, like several ASEAN member countries have over Mekong River. Before riparian countries have such an agreement in place, most often water diplomacy activities are needed by countries in question, supported by international community and the regional institutions. The trust is at the heart and can be built and gained by a multitude of different measures. Most obvious confidence-building measures are being sharing of hydrological data and information between the riparian countries. Few words on Finland. We have a long-standing experience in transboundary water cooperation with our neighbors, Sweden, Norway, and Russia, as well as with other partnering countries, such as Namibia, where we share experiences with them, learn both ways. Bilateral cooperation with both Sweden and Norway is very fluent and focuses on joint planning at local scale. Finnish-Russian cooperation, then again, is based on the Second World War confidence building and agreements, under which actual activities evolve with geopolitical changes. Notably, Finland is upstream country vis-à-vis Russia, and still we promote heavily transboundary water cooperation. Our experience with Russia shows that even after 60 years of functional transboundary water cooperation, the countries may find themselves returning back to square one due to changes in geopolitical situation. Note, this is square one, not square zero. Back in the 1916, Finland had actively initiating global conventions on transboundary waters. So since very beginning, Finland has been supporting the work of the conventions, for example, through awareness raising and accelerating accession of other countries to the convention. The two conventions complement each other, and especially UNECE Helsinki Water Convention, which with its secretariat is lively and fast growing community of parties, it has currently some 55 parties in it and almost 20 in accession process. Notably, it is open for global accession, as we expect to see fast growing interest also from Asia in coming years. Also within ASEAN region, water scarcity, intensification, variation in water availability, and inefficiency usage, growing global challenges in water sector are becoming increasingly urgent issues. One example of this is the mighty Mekong River, a crucial lifeline for several ASEAN countries. In recent years, it has witnessed a significant changes in its flow, caused by shifts in rainfall patterns and the construction of dams upstream. These changes are not just a matter of environmental concern. It directly impacts agriculture, fisheries, and livelihoods of millions of people who depend on the river. In light of these changes, regional cooperation is not just important, it is essential. Transboundary water management requires us to work together, building collaborative frameworks that ensure fair and sustainable use of this resource. As a regional actor, ASEAN can continue to play a key role in facilitating dialogue and cooperation among its member states, promoting unified approach to water security. In Finland, as said, we have understood that water diplomacy is a politically led activity where water and natural resources know-how can assist the foreign and security policy work, diplomacy itself. In order to foster water diplomacy, we noticed that there is always a need to build a strong knowledge base on the context. The aim of the background analysis is to understand better what are the relevant political, environmental, social, and economic dynamics in the context. And only after that, determine what type of water diplomacy actions you can take. In order to address this, we created a water diplomacy conflict analysis tool together with Finnish Institute of International Affairs and Finnish Environment Institute. This tool is online and it attempts to build up an adequate understanding of the operating environment in which water diplomatic efforts can be designed and implemented. At the same time, it's a preventive and forward-looking tool aiming at finding a menu of activities for us to use. We have realized that this tool helps to utilize and establish terminology for peace mediation. Conflict analysis is a peace mediation language that the diplomats want to hear. After conducting a conflict analysis, the process of water diplomacy can finally follow. It may be that we create technical negotiation path alongside of the actual peace negotiation track, or it could be that we in reality support the actual negotiation track with strategic or technical water thinking, enabling mediators and diplomats to see the wider horizon of possibilities for the negotiations. In general, water diplomacy processes aim to build trust between the parties in order to move away from the political positions towards dialogue on the actual interests. There are examples of trust building around transboundary waters, where the shared waters can provide a unique context for negotiation. It is only in an environment of trust where sustainable solutions can be found. Few words on UNECE Water Convention. Transboundary water cooperation and the numerous tools and guidances developed under the convention can serve as basis for water diplomacy and vice versa. Water diplomacy may lead the parties in the collaborative space of transboundary cooperation. Those 55 parties there now, and it has been open to be global and is much interest on, particularly from Africa, but also from countries such as Iran from Middle East and Panama from Central America. There are 20 countries in accession, as said, and the meetings normally have 130 countries coming to place. So almost all of those countries who share transboundary waters. The convention can be considered as a success story in the UN multilateralism. We as Finland have been co-leading program area work on the transboundary water allocation, extremely sensitive topic to allocate waters, and supported development of key technical guidance documents, such as the Global Handbook on Water Allocation, and conducted together with the Secretariat workshops in a regional case in Central Asia and Southern Africa. Within Asia, the convention continues to actively grow its engagement and interest from countries. Just in the last meeting of parties in Slovenia, ASEAN represented included Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, PDR, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Finland, along with the Secretariat, welcomes further increased engagement and participation in water convention meetings by the ASEAN countries. There is also a unique opportunity for any ASEAN country to become a first party to accede from South Asia into the convention and receive recognition as a regional leader on the topic. The need to foster and incorporate natural resources and specifically water into the processes of diplomacy is self-evident. It is a positive, strong signal that ASEAN is organizing this event today, and I truly hope that this is not just one stop, but the dialogue to continue towards the convention. Water cooperation was one of the thematic dialogues in the historic UN Water Conference in 2023. As Finland, we support having this topic once again, even more firmly as a self-standing thematic topic in the 26th UN Water Conference. And just before I close, I want to say that this symbol that I'm wearing, if you don't yet know what it is, it's a symbol of Women in Water Diplomacy Network that I'm a proud member of. And the water diplomacy, as any other topic that we could figure out, is truly a work where we need to have both centers fully in play in order to have a positive and successful cooperation in the basin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your enlightening perspective. We will now proceed with the presentations of tokens of appreciation to our esteemed keynote speakers, followed by several sessions of group photo to commemorate these momentous occasions. We ask for the assistance of our communications team with the token presentations and photo sessions. We would like to invite our distinguished speakers to join us on stage together. His Excellency Igusti Agung Wasaka Puja, Her Excellency Vicky Singmin, Her Excellency Retno Marsudi, His Excellency Ati Rautavara. Please join us on the stage. We first invite Her Excellency Vicky Singmin to present the token appreciation to Her Excellency Retno Marsudi. Secondly, we will have our ASEAN IPR Executive Director to present the token of appreciation to Excellency Anti Rautavara. Lastly, we also have the token appreciation from the ASEAN IPR Executive Director to Vicky Singmin. For the second group photo, we would like to invite all the moderator and speakers of this discussion series to join the excellencies on the stage. Dr. Surasri Kittimonthon, Dr. Fangso, and Miss Louise Madyono Putri. Please join us on the stage. For the last group photo, we ask excellencies, moderator, and speakers to be seated. Our communication team will assist the photo group from the stage.
Oh, all right. Okay, so let's see.
We're taking a photo from the stage.
We will have our communication team to assist the group photo together.
To the middle part.
We would like to And allow me to introduce our esteemed moderator for this session, Ms. Louise Desraini Mariono Putri. Ms. Louise is a water professional with 15 years experience spans integrated water resource management and the wash, water, sanitation, and hygiene sector. She is currently served as the Deputy Regional Coordinator for Global Water Partnership Southeast Asia based in Jakarta, Indonesia. She has been with Global Water Partnership since 2019, where she served as the SDG Program Manager for Asia. Ms. Louise holds the master degree in hydroscience and engineering from Technische Universität Dresden, Germany, supported by the AAD Germany Government Scholarship, and a bachelor degree in urban regional planning from Institut Teknologi Bandung, Indonesia. She currently manages several projects on climate and integrated water resource management, collaborating with international partners such as the World Meteorological Organization and the United Nations Environment Program. Without further ado, let's welcome Ms. Louise. Over to you, Miss. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the very kind introductions. I would like to welcome all of you. Good afternoon. My name is again Louise. I am the Deputy Regional Coordinator for Global Water Partnership Southeast Asia, and we are based in Jakarta. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all today to our panel discussion on fostering water diplomacy, advancing ASEAN regional water security agenda. We are gathered here today to engage in a stimulating conversations with some of the bright minds in the field of transboundary in Southeast Asia regions. And I am confident that these sessions will be both insightful and also thought-provoking for all of us. First, I would like to thank each of you for joining us today, both online and in person. I know that there are some participants also joining online, so very warm welcome to participants joining online. And I also like to thank ASEAN-IPR for organizing this important ASEAN water diplomacy dialogue. We are fortunate to be living in a time where regional cooperation, particularly in water management, is more possible than ever before. And today's discussion will focus on the effort, challenges, and successes in fostering water diplomacy within ASEAN, and how the region can continue to work together to strengthen water security for all member states. So water has the capacity to unite and act as a driver of peace, sustainable development, climate action, and regional integrations. As the ASEAN region continues to grow and develop, the demand of water and management for transboundary water resources are becoming even more complex and essential for cooperation and peace. Even in time of severe water scarcity, cooperations on surface water and groundwater had been a game changer. And globally, countries have also demonstrated an ability to collaborate based on international water law principles in order to find and implement mutual beneficial solutions. So to set the scene, I would like to share some highlight according to the Sustainable Development Goals 6.5.2 on monitoring progress of transboundary water cooperations. And I am very happy today that our colleague, the custodian agency for SDG 6.5.2 UNEC is joining online. And also we have also UNESCO Jakarta joining in person today in our building. So as you can see from the chart, the graph here, in Asia itself, 25 out of 30 countries share transboundary river, lakes, and aquifers. However, only 2 out of 25 countries with 90% or more of their transboundary water are covered by operational arrangements. And maybe you can also see from the graph here that the darker color, which is showing the more progress of transboundary in Southeast Asia, are shown in the Mekong regions. And also, many countries are facing a lot of challenges in collecting data for transboundary aquifer. And this has reflected in the lack of integration of aquifer within river and lake basin arrangements. And therefore, a major push is needed to develop transboundary water arrangement in Southeastern Asia. In Southeast Asia regions, the example of transboundary water cooperation has been mentioned before by our Excellency keynote speaker, that lower Mekong countries have been collaborating under the 1995 Mekong agreements. And also cooperation with the upstream countries in the Mekong continue to evolve through the Lancang Mekong cooperation mechanism. However, there are still several major transboundary basins in the regions that is lack of comprehensive basin-wide operational arrangement, including some major river basin and aquifer outside the Mekong countries. And we are honored to have two distinguished panelists with us today, whose expertise and leadership are instrumental in advancing water diplomacy in the Southeast Asia regions. And let me take a moment to introduce our esteemed panelists. So I would like to introduce Dr. Wong Sok. Dr. Wong Sok currently serves as the head of environmental divisions, assistant director for the Sustainable Development Directorate from ASEAN Sociocultural Community, ASEAN Secretariat. Yes, please, Dr. Wong Sok. Thank you. So Dr. Wong Sok is a passionate and dedicated environmental professional with over 20 years environmental compliance and governance experience, including in-depth knowledge of strategic environmental planning, environmental diplomacy, and operation control of environmental management systems. He worked extensively on environmental management in Southeast Asia and in close collaboration with government agencies, international organizations, development partners, CSO, and communities. He holds a PhD in Impact Assessment and Climate Change at the University of Western Australia. So thank you, Dr. Wong Sok, for joining me in the stage. Now I would like to introduce you to the second panelist. We have Dr. Surasri Kittimonton from Mekong River Commissions. Dr. Surasri Kittimonton holds a doctoral in Science for Engineering and Agriculture Technology from Okayama University, Japan. He has over 20 years of professional experience in water management. And he was Director General in Department of Royal Rainmaking and Agriculture Aviation of Thailand. Currently, he is Secretary General of the Office for National Water Resources of Thailand, serving as Secretary General of the Thai National Mekong Committee Secretariat. He also served as a chairperson of the Mekong River Commission Joint Committee for 2024. Thank you so much, Dr. Surasri, for joining us today. So before we begin, I would like to share a few brief points on how this discussion session will unfold. With a talk show format, I will ask 3 questions to each panelist, and each panelist will be given 15 minutes to answer these questions. And after the talk show, we will welcome participants joining in person and online to share their questions to the panelists. For online participants, we kindly request to post the questions in the Zoom platform. So without further delay, let's begin our discussions. I would like to share the first question on ASEAN first. We would like to understand the broader regional perspective on transboundary first. So Dr. Wong Sok, I would like to understand how important is transboundary water resources for Southeast Asia regions? What are the current challenges and issues with the management of transboundary water resources in Southeast Asia?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for Excellency Ambassador joining us today. It's grateful for you to listen from a technical standpoint on this water issue. I think water is really important for everyone. We live because of water. The whole system of this planet, because of water, give us life, give us everything as resources. However, water can be also challenges. I mean, people say a lot about water as resources, but also water as hazard. Too much or too little, always problem. So I think when it comes to the water, I think water is no problem from itself. I may say water, no problem. It's just the problem happened because of human. Human create problem. From the demand, from the supply, all human make, manipulate the whole thing on water itself. Now, it's just different sort of user of water happen all over the world as a general sense. Now, I just pull back into the country where we are as a Southeast Asia region, ASEAN. I think the challenge of water, as the key speaker, honorable key speaker just point out, it's really clear. It's about shortage of water, about water pollution, about competition of water resources, about the need of different sort of vulnerable community where they really need water and then they don't have any sort of opportunity to claim back some of the water loss. So all of these things, I think it's a lot. But when we talk about environmental sort of center approach, water have been significant issue in terms of water insecurity because not enough water. Not enough water is not meant for the people, but for the whole ecosystem where they provide this sort of production, provide service to human and the planet. So this is not only the water for human, but water for the whole system. And that's water also create this sort of quality of water problem, pollution issue. Severe pollution happen not only the surface water. We see the water pollution from the surface, but the quality of water, underground water, aquifer issue, it's very contaminated. So this is a water pollution issue. And then what happened? And then impact the whole ecosystem of the water-related matter. And then also with that, who involved in doing that? It's all about people. We tried a lot in terms of building capacity, building information, data information, monitoring, and up to the institutional and policy sort of framework. However, there are more need to be done in terms of how we can engage meaningful and collaborative with all key players. Particularly, this is the main challenge I would like to stress.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wong Sok. So you highlight that the issues in Southeast Asia region actually also happen globally, which is related to the water quantity, quality, even under the ground itself, which is from groundwater. So thank you very much for highlighting this current challenges and issue of transboundary water resources in Southeast Asia. Now, my second question to you first. The status of water cooperation as a means fostering peace are in different level progress between transboundary area in Southeast Asia. For example, as we talked before, that Mekong countries have a more advanced transboundary water cooperations. So I would like to understand more also what are the existing ASEAN mechanism and its working instrument that foster cooperations among ASEAN nations to tackle competitions and mitigation tension over shared water resources, including for non-Mekong countries.
I'm very grateful to share what ASEAN doing as environment division and facilitate this sort of environmental cooperation in ASEAN. And particularly from some of you may not be involved at a technical level, this is quite important moment for you to learn about what we are doing. From environment sector, environment division, we are grateful to coordinate and facilitate the water resource management issue, but also address some of the challenge and pressure that we are facing as well, including climate change that we are also coordinating, and also environmental sustainable city and environmental education, because all of the things are interrelated. So that's still under environment sector where we have to do, in terms of how we can manage the sustainably water resources, not only for human, but for the whole ecosystem. Secondly, how we can address climate change that really impact to these sort of water resources, how we can provide this sort of, education, awareness raising, and also behavior change. As a highlight by Her Excellency Reynolds about 3O, which is quite important message. And also her point really about ASEAN, what ASEAN should do. So her 3A, is really important about the advocacy, alignment, and also what's the acceleration. It means that our action not enough. And ASEAN need to focus more. With that, I just would like to highlight ASEAN have been intensively working on this water resource. So you may look at this when you have time at Environment at Glance that highlight what ASEAN doing in environment sector under AME and ASEAN. We have a dedicated working group under this sort of strategic priority as a water resource management. So with that, we have five important areas. I can say this to you: integrated water resource management, country strategy, guideline, and indicator, where we have to inform where we are at. And also public awareness and cross-sectoral coordination, water conservation, improving water quality and sanitation, and water-related disaster. So I think all the subject matter in water from the environmental center approach, we are doing that. But I think that may not be enough looking from environmental sector alone. Therefore, we also have this sort of number of cooperation. We have a number of cooperation with partner. With MOC, Mekong River Commission Secretariat, ASEAN Secretariat, and MOC have this sort of cooperation framework in place in 2018. Before that, we have another MOU. With this sort of cooperation framework, we have two important opportunity where it contribute important to the water diplomacy, the dialogue, engage people. The first water security dialogue that happened in 2021 during the COVID time when we discussed this sort of key issue. The outcome of this policy dialogue, it's quite important about engage various stakeholders in this sort of conversation in terms of water, not only within country. This is the way we bring people from outside Mekong country, the other ASEAN non-Mekong country, to discuss about water, transboundary issue, and so on and so forth. So the key recommendation come to the 4 points in terms of policy, the coordination, partnership, and resource mobilization and technology, where it come to play. Then just recently in last year, September, we have a second water security dialogue with a number of significant stakeholders involved, discuss about water security in ASEAN region and Mekong, how we can do together. Among other, we have identified that technology, AI, and the youth as a key player in this action. So this is not end there. We have also working with number of project program with UN agency under the Global Environmental Fund facility, GEF. So we just try to promote integrated water resource management and also promote river-based organization, community, grassroots, to provide this sort of best practice, document best practice, and promote this best practice to communicate to wider audience within the country and at the region. And also fertilize the conversation among this sort of river-based organization to promote this sort of sound policy investment in the country and the river sort of based side area. So this is not end there. We're still looking forward for the cooperation with all the partners. And among other, one of the most important new initiative under Thailand Thailand leadership, on one of the activity, we develop also ASEAN framework for water conservation, which is quite important to reserve the water resource, not only for human, but for all ecosystem and animal and biodiversity. This will be finalized, we hope, by the end of this year. Thank you very much. I would like to end my point here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Wong Sok. Now I would like to go to Dr. Surasri Kitimonton. Dr. Surasri, so we've been here a lot that Mekong is like quite a pioneer. I also read from the chair summary from the second MRC ASEAN Water Security Dialogue that MRC serve as a trans-regional knowledge hub, a mature water diplomacy platform, and a successful model of transboundary cooperation in Southeast Asia. So based on this track record and experiences, what are the most important factors to support water diplomacy and to contribute in maintaining peace and security in the regions? And what are the lessons learned employed by Mekong River Commissions and can be applied to other transboundary areas? Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting from ASEAN-IPR, supported by Canada. As we know, water is the national resource for everyone, but it's limited. So the water diplomacy is very important. And this come back to the Mekong. I would like to say that the Mekong River Commission or MRC has a long history and celebrated 30th anniversary this year since the signing of the 1995 Mekong Agreement. The MRC has been a key platform for managing the shared water resources of the Mekong River in a fair and sustainable way among its member countries, Cambodia, Laos PDR, Thailand, and Vietnam. And the success of the MRC is built on three key pillars. First is legal framework. The 1995 Mekong Agreement provides a strong legal foundation, along with clear procedure and technical guidelines, ensuring a consistent and unified implementation of the agreement. Second, organization structure. MRC operates through a well-defined structure that ensures effective coordination and implementation. At the highest level is the summit, where Prime Minister or country leaders come together to discuss and shape long-term strategy for the region. Next, the council composed of ministers from member countries convene annually to review and improve key body policies and strategy. Below the council is the joint committee, which are responsible for driving the key policy and strategy into action and plan. Supporting this body is the Secretariat, which serves as the technical and administrative arm, providing support to facilitate collaboration and achieve the MRC's objectives. The MRC also benefits from partnership with China, Myanmar, and international development partners who provide financial and technical support. And last, the plan and strategy based on the 1995 Mekong Agreement, the Basin Development Strategy or BDS, and the Strategy Plan or SP serve as key frameworks for guiding sustainable water resource management while building cooperation and trust among member countries, as the speaker has mentioned. For the trust is very important. So this strategy emphasizes a proactive planning approach, focusing on 5 strategic priorities. First is preserving the river ecological functions. The second is ensuring fair and inclusive access to water resource. The third is promoting sustainable and optimal development. Fourth is strengthening resilience to climate risks, such as floods and droughts. And the last is fostering collaboration among all basin countries and stakeholders. So I would like to conclude that these 3 pillars are essential to the MRC's success. Practice like structured dialogue, collaborative governance, and proactive planning have been instrumental in promoting regional cooperation, building trust, and ensuring peace and security. And the MRC experience offer valuable lessons for also transboundary regions, providing a model for effective water diplomacy and sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Surasri. So there are quite a lot of informations you have mentioned, but the highlight that I think can be applied by other transboundary area is the importance of creating the enabling environment or policy for the transboundary cooperation itself. Also, the importance of setting also institutional arrangements. You mentioned the importance of having a align procedure and technical guidelines, organization structures within these transboundary cooperations, and finally to also have a functional secretariat that can support all of these Mekong River Commission countries member. And finally, the partnerships between the other country outside the Mekong countries. So thank you very much for highlighting this. Now, my second question to you is, how do the instrument of the 1995 MRC agreement and 2023 Vientiane declarations facilitate benefit sharing of water resources in the Mekong regions, and also to enhance peace and security while mitigating tensions among riparian states? And how do this framework improve water diplomacy practices in the region?
Thank you for your question. Let me show some main activities in 2024. The significant progress has been made to demonstrate how MRC framework improves water diplomacy practice across the region. So let me highlight some of the key achievements. First is the establishment of the ecosystem window under the Mekong Fund time is a key achievement. The innovative financial mechanism developed under the Basin Development Strategy 2021 to 2030, which supported by government of Germany, is focused on restoring and managing the Mekong River's ecosystem sustainably by addressing both environmental and community needs. It helps countries share benefits fairly, align their goals, promote peace, and reduce competition over shared resources. Second, the capacity building continues to be a key focus of our work. In partnership with the Thailand Institute of Scientific and Technological Research, or TISTA, we conducted community training program where the participants from member countries can exchange experience and innovations for adapting to rapid change in the Mekong. Similarly, partnerships with Indonesia, marking the first non-Mekong country within ASEAN to sign an MOU with MRC. This cooperation creates capacity building on irrigation technology under the MOU to underline the importance of regional cooperation and inclusive water resource management. Thus, the 1995 agreements focus on data sharing and technology advancement has delivered significant results. Upgrades to forecasting center and the regional flush and drought management center have greatly improved disaster monitoring and preparedness. This innovative help reduce water-related risks, prevent conflicts, and enhance regional security and resilience. Overall, these initiatives guided by the MRC agreement and the Vientiane Declaration have proven effective in strengthening water diplomacy. By encouraging dialogue, empowering community, and fostering innovation, we can ensure equitable benefit sharing of water resources. This not only benefits the Mekong region, but also strengthen partnership beyond its boundary, promoting peace and security across the border ASEAN region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Surasri. So before I move to question from participants, I would like to raise one last questions to Dr. Bongsok first. How can ASEAN leverage the contributions and participation of its state members to foster peace and security related to transboundary water resources, particularly through a public diplomacy approach that emphasize the involvement of the greater ASEAN community, including non-government stakeholders?
Thank you very much. I think what is ASEAN? I'm not saying about diplomacy. I'm saying from my thought, it's straightforward, a practitioner. ASEAN belongs to everyone. Problem solving is everyone, and mindset to sort out this sort of problem. And I think this sort of water diplomacy look from the water issue and the approach and platform that we have. The number of platforms exists in ASEAN, in Mekong and sub-regional level. However, the issue is still not well addressed. Still because of competition, because of different demand and supply of water resources. Therefore, I think it's quite important. The multi-stakeholder engagement is very important. Keep open this sort of conversation and engage all the stakeholders. ASEAN try to demonstrate a different sort of modality to engage different stakeholders. This, I'm just really would like to focus on the technical matter on water resources. As I highlight, engage with the MOC to create another big platform, what we call water security dialogue, that we promote engagement various stakeholders. Through project program, we have also engaged, like the PUMC, the Integrated Water Resource Management, the river-based organization. We try to promote engagement different level of community and the river-based organization to understand this sort of integrated approach. And this also inform the policy and institution at the country where they have to mobilize resources and also promote sound investment. That is not enough. ASEAN also working with partners to cooperate for project program. Such as, last few years, we have also cooperation with Switzerland for the study tour. That also involve all Mekong River country and also the ASEAN country to participate in this sort of Switzerland sort of case, water resource management and transboundary and the dialogue and also diplomacy. So this is really important, the way we learn from different sort of modality and engagement of the water diplomacy. That's not enough. We also have this sort of regular sort of engagement with ASEAN, Asia, EU, Europe sort of water initiative, Assam Water. Just happened last year also. I myself also involved to understand what is the emerging issue of water. This about the engagement and also mobilize the resources, mobilize technical support, and also the partnership arrangement in terms of how we address this sort of emerging and pressing issue. So water is not end there. We continue to engage and also open up for opportunity. Therefore, I think the working between ASEAN and MOC one of important platform to create another important sort of endeavor to engage other stakeholders, not only within Mekong and ASEAN, but beyond that. It could be EU, it could be China, and also the +3 and so on to be part of that solution in terms of how best. For whatever reason, we in the country, as ASEAN member state, from the environment sector, as a water sort of base sector, we always keep this sort of diplomacy matter.
Has been collaborated through the ASEAN MRC water security dialogues, which has happened 2 times. And I would like to understand what potential exists to advance this as ASEAN water security agenda. How do these dialogues can highlight the participation of all stakeholders, particularly in relations to public diplomacy carried out by general society?
Thank you for your question. As we know, we are facing further climate change, and we facing many problems from the water. Maybe it mean we facing for the fast and downs, and I think everyone has to respond for that problem, and maybe only one country or only one organization cannot solve that problem. So it means that everyone should respond for that problem. So come back to for the ASEAN and MRC. Please allow me to reflect on the potential of advancing the ASEAN water security agenda through insight gained from the ASEAN MRC water security dialogues. These dialogues symbolize the collaborative efforts between ASEAN and the MRC to underscore the value of strengthening cooperation among diverse stakeholders, including governments and local communities. The first dialogues was held in 2021, followed by the second in 2024, both emphasizing the importance of integrating regional strategies with local actions. These high-level discussions brought together leaders and experts from the MRC and ASEAN to set policy directions and share innovative solutions. This platform plays a crucial role in advancing transboundary water management, promoting equitable access to resources, and addressing climate challenges. As you can see, both the agricultural and industrial sector, pillars of livelihoods and economic growth, are deeply connected to public diplomacy's ability to engage society. Farmers, industries, and citizens play vital roles in adopting sustainable practice, conserving water, and fostering balanced development among the climate change. In my view, empowering communities and actively involving people in decision-making are essential steps in aligning the ASEAN water security agenda with the real needs and aspirations of its people. Looking ahead, fostering continued engagement at all levels is the key. By transforming these dialogues into tangible actions, we can ensure a resilient and water-secure ASEAN for future generations. So I ensure that youth is very important to help us to make a good future for water resource management. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And also for highlighting that the importance of inclusivity, engaging youth to collaborate together through this kind of transboundary dialogue. Also, I see a lot of youth participants here as well, which I think is very also inspiring for all of us. So I think without further ado, I would like to thank our distinguished panelists for insightful remarks. And now we would like to open the floor for all of you participant questions. And please kindly engage, because this is a unique opportunity to have direct conversations with leaders in the field of water diplomacy and regional cooperations. Whether it is a comment, a question, or even a challenge for all of us, we encourage you to share your thought. Now with that, let's open the floor to your questions. Who would like to start first? Okay. 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 So I see the gentleman in the left side already raise the hand first.
Thank you, Kartika. Thank you very much. For me, this is like a reunion. I was here working here as a Deputy Secretary General 12 years ago, and my guru was Kun Surin Pitchwan. He is my guru. When I was in Stockholm, he visited Stockholm, I think 3 times, and we discussed a lot of the issue, including water. I do remember very well. Thank you very much, moderator. My name is Baka Sapsoro. I'm from the Indonesian Council on World Affairs. And I would like to especially thank Secretary, Executive Director of ASEAN-IPR, Ambassador Igusti Agung Wesaka Puja, for his invitation so that we can listen and discuss this issue. And I'm happy particularly in its establishment because I was also a member of GC, Governing Council of IPAR, that ASEAN-IPAR is constantly upholds its mandate and function. And he mentioned very right when he made the remarks. And, you know, the issue of capacity building, research is also the way that we, as a member of Indonesian Council on World Affairs, always deliver and always mention. It was recognized by the Indonesian Minister for Foreign Affairs last week. Let me also take this opportunity to give appreciation to Her Excellency Retno Marsudi, UNSG Special Envoy on Water. She has provided important guidance to all of us on this issue. You know, coincidentally, I once lived in Sweden. I was very happy to learn about the highly protected environment in Scandinavian countries, including Finland. And I really enjoyed the statement made by the Finnish Special Envoy for Water, Mr. Antti Rautovara. Now, my question is directed not only for Finnish Special Envoy, but also other stakeholders here. My question will be, what will be done to overcome water problems in Indonesia and other ASEAN countries, in addition to the Mekong River and everything? Because the issue on water is not only in Mekong River, but also in other, like the Philippines, in Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. And you see that in the Scandinavian countries, they made in a very, very good and coordinated manner, especially with the issue of improved water efficiency, and also the invest in sustainable infrastructure. And how you as one of the speaker here just mentioned in the ASEAN Secretariat, how we can manage the water scarcity in sustainable manner in ASEAN countries on this issue, and what we can learn from Scandinavian countries, because they are making everything in coordinated manner. Last but not least, I'm going to ask you regarding the commitment by the donors, not dialogue partners, but donors. Are they still high in terms of commitment, or some of them are still thinking with different priorities? Because the issue on environment is not only water, especially the issue on climate change. I'm sorry, the last part is my personal question. Maybe the moderator could also answer this question. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So I see that your first question is given to Mr. Antti, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if it is possible for me to give the question to the keynote speaker regarding the experience of Scandinavian countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And while there might be some lessons to be learned from the Scandinavia, we always have to also acknowledge that Scandinavian population is very low compared to this corner of the world. We have probably one of the most abundant water resources per capita in the world. So the comparisons are unfair and in a way should not be made. How we feel in Scandinavian countries is that anyhow we have abundant water resources, we are not excluded from the global water crisis. Our water usage is only half happening within Finland. The other half is taking place in other countries where the consumption patterns that happen in Finland happen. So if I drink coffee in Helsinki, it's not produced in Finland. It's probably produced here or elsewhere, tea at least. So the water virtual flows are very different, and those should always be kept in mind. The one thing I would like to mention is that the global water architecture is a very complex and difficult issue to have in place. I think we've been advocating for past 15, 20 years for it to be in place. And I'm extremely pleased over the past 3 years because we have these UN water conferences happening now regularly. Next one in 26. We have a UN special envoy on board, and but the AAA, starting with advocating, which I think is absolute key. And then the third one is that all UN agencies have a system-wide strategy for water. So the UN system is coming together. And it's a great sign for all of us, even if we are in Scandinavia or in some of the ASEAN region countries, that this is coming together, because the crisis that we are having ahead of us water-wise is going to be gigantic, and it's growing fast with the climate change taking place. So that's why I'm also saying several times mentioned the UNECE Water Convention. Even though it started from the European context, it's a global convention, and it applies globally if the countries want to join. And if we take a look at the region where the water flows are coming, they are coming largely from the high Himalayan glaciers, which are melting. So if we have this same dialogue 20 years from now, it will be very different. So the time to join the sort of a rules-based world, including the water conventions, is actually now. And I'm hoping that this would be a lesson that we pick up from these discussions here today. Apologies for long response.
Thank you very much, Mr. Antti. So I also remember that the second question also was raised to ASEAN Secretariat regarding what will be done to overcome water for non-Mekong countries from ASEAN.
I think it's back to my early intervention. It's really about people-centered approach. People is a matter. Water is there all the time, but no matter what, let's say we have the water conservation, one good lake or river system. It just suddenly make a sharp decision to reinvest, to reshape that sort of river system. It just within a year disappear. Therefore, I think manage people expectation, manage people investment is the most important. How to do that? I think this is water diplomacy and multi-stakeholder engagement. This involves from the decision-making and planning sort of process, how we can involve early. Because if we wait passively until the end of the day, everything gone. Like a lot of conservation activity happen, let's say forests. You do conservation 20 years. A decision just only 1 month, all forest gone. This is the matter of keep our conversation going and also try to share this sort of important message. This is about the competition of different interests, competition of resources. So therefore, we need to get our message across at the soonest possible from the lower until the higher level. This is the way we have to create more impact. I mean, let's say at the planning stage, if we have opportunity to share, if one of the priority want to do this sort of hydropower, let's say, if we have chance to share this sort of issue about the counterbalance or that sort of option, provide different sort of alternative and mitigation measure from the avoidance up to the mitigation aspect, whether we can do something. I think this engagement is quite important. Open up for engagement of different sort of perspective, of different sort of user, different sort of interest. and all stakeholders take charge for that because this all benefit to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. What I could highlight from your answer is the importance of engaging maybe scientific approach on especially to allocate water for different water users. And I think we are also very honored today. We have a lot of researchers here joining us from Indonesian University Institute of Technology Bandung. So we are happy also to hear if any one of you from participants have also insight or feedback related to this. I would like to give opportunity for the second. Well, yeah, I see. I would like to be as much as gender balanced as possible. So if possible, can I give the opportunity to the lady over there first, sir?
I'll give my turn, of course.
Oh, okay then. Yeah, please. And then after you, we can continue with the gentleman from UNESCO Jakarta.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Nuhan Farasi. I'm a founder and CEO of Aikite. The name Aikite comes from the local language of my hometown, Bangka Belitung in Sumatra, meaning our water. I'm also currently positioned as a researcher at Civil and Environmental Engineering Department at UC Berkeley. One of my research including building automation tool for water resource management for NASA airborne snow water observatories to account for water availability in California. I've also been invited as a speaker in World Water Week in Stockholm in 2018 and also World Water Forum in South Korea in 2022. At Aikite, we collaborate with marginalized communities to raise awareness about WASH, water sanitation and hygiene. And our initiative include educational campaigns and constructing water and sanitation facilities as well. And since 2016, we've been addressing water issues in Bangka, primarily focusing on the impacts of tin mining industries. This includes exposing the environmental devastation caused by mega corruption worth billions of dollars in the tin mining industry. Our research has highlighted the use of water from abandoned mining pits, which also contains high level of turbidity and dangerous metal ions. When I shared my findings with my professor at Berkeley, he was stunned and asked, so they're using water from mining pits. And he pointed out a key challenge saying, Nuha, the technology is there. The problem is clear too, but the real issue for your case is funding. He was right. I mean, during a discussion with a Japanese water company, I learned that solving water contamination with heavy metal ions would require at least $1 million. This highlights the significant financial barrier to addressing these critical water issues. So I think local people like me in Sumatra have very limited resources, including funding or partnerships to international communities or international partners. What would be your suggestions on this and how to start building a long-lasting connections and partnership focusing on marginalized local people who have low income and low educational level and they don't have any knowledge on how to sort of like talk about what their issue is and how to have a robust evaluation and monitoring program to sustain the initiative in locals. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think it's a wonderful questions because you emphasize also the role of involving marginalized people. And I think the work of local communities in also water diplomacy is very crucial for this. So if I may, Dr. Surasri, can I give these questions to you maybe from Mekong River Commission's strategy? You mentioned before that you involve youth, you would like to involve youth in the priority program of MRC. So maybe this is a good opportunity to answer.
Thank you. For Thailand, last year we applied for the special fund from China for the youth networking, and we have done for youth networking in Lan Chang, Mae Khong region, and we can for the youth, we can share the experience and can discuss together and make the friend and share the experience. And now the youth networking in Lan Chang Mekong is bigger than before. So I suggest to the China that maybe use in Lan Chang Mekong, not only in Lan Chang Mekong for the networking. We should expand to the other, like use networking in Lan Chang Mekong maybe pass for ASEAN or to the further global. I think maybe we can share like this and we can learn together and use. I think use is very important and use is the future for us. So you can share the experience and you can educate the people in your area. I think that's.
Thank you so much, Dr. Surasi. So these opportunities, I believe, is not only for Mekong countries. Maybe Indonesia can also approach as well. So I promise to the gentleman in this middle for the next questions, and then after that we will go to the online participants.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. I'm trying to keep the distance so that my voice is loud and clear to everyone. At the outset, I would like to thank ASEAN Secretariat and the Canadian institutions for bringing all this expertise, bringing all the speakers together. This is something that everybody could benefit from. Not only decision makers, not only policy makers, but also the youth, also those who do not necessarily work in the water domain, but very much interested in contributing to the water domain. So this discussion is very useful. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Engin Koncagül. I work for UNESCO. And I'm here with my colleague, Ms. Ade Wulandari. We are working in the UNESCO office in Jakarta. First of all, what I would like to put emphasis on is for those of you who are not familiar with the mandate of UNESCO, we cover quite a large perspective. In fact, UNESCO works on education, science, culture, communication, information, social and human sciences, etc., etc. But what connects all those topics is peace. When we look at the constitution of UNESCO, it starts by saying that wars start in the minds of people, and this is exactly where we should start constructing the defenses for peace. So when it comes to UNESCO, it's about peace. And the topic that we are talking about, water diplomacy, is about peace. And within UNESCO, we approach to this matter from different perspectives. As I mentioned earlier, as UNESCO has a large mandate, for example, we look at the issue of peace from the perspective of science. And when it comes to the point that we are discussing today, water resources, what is important is that to be able to have a robust water diplomacy, all the decisions should be based on actual data, accurate, up-to-date, specific water data that the policy and decision makers could utilize. And within UNESCO, the Division of Water Sciences, through its Intergovernmental Hydrological Program, is working with close to 200 member states to be able to gather, collect, analyze up-to-date information on water resources. And when I say water resources, this applies to both surface and groundwater resources. Groundwater resources is probably becoming most important because with the impact of climate change, surface water, while their quantity and quality is deteriorating, the groundwater resources will become our savior in the decades to come. Now, while we are working with the member states, we of course rely on the water family that we have. The UNESCO water family is composed of member states. Water family is composed of category 2 centers, research institutions, universities, so on and so forth. So all of those institutions and member states are working with UNESCO to be able to establish a solid, robust database to be able to take decisions, accurate decisions for the future generations to come. And one aspect that I would like to put emphasis on is that there is a decaying tendency in terms of collection of hydrometeorological data. Since 1960s, when we look at the facts and figures, we see that the data availability is becoming less and less. Of course, a part of data collection can be done by the satellites. Nobody is contesting that. But what is important is to have the data, the ground truthing, collecting data at the field level, on the field. This is what is important. So UNESCO is also working with other members of the UN family, for example, World Meteorological Organization, to advocate the idea that while decision makers are cutting the corners to take decisions on how to construct their budgets, the hydrometeorological data collection should not be a part of the budget cuts. If we do that, this implies that we are in fact putting a blindfold and we cannot really know what is the status of freshwater resources when it comes to quantity and quality. So this is the first aspect. The second aspect that I would like to put emphasis on is UNESCO, while collecting scientific information, we are underlining the importance of local and indigenous knowledge. Local indigenous peoples, they have been living in peace with nature for centuries and centuries and centuries. And the data and information that they have, their practices are very valuable today for the international community to be able to address the climate change and how we should react to make the communities more resilient to the impacts of climate change. And the last point that I would like to underline is that earlier, as I mentioned, UNESCO collaborates with not only member states, but also the UN family. And when it comes to transboundary water resources, UNESCO collaborates with UNECE. In fact, UNESCO and UNECE are the co-custodians for the 6.5.2. And as two partners, we have been driving the data collection on transboundary water resources all over the world, including Asia and the Pacific. And I would like to conclude my intervention by asking a simple question, in the sense that ASEAN has been the driving force in Asia and the Pacific region when it comes to science, when it comes to technology, when it comes to advocating for human rights. My question, or somehow comment, is what could be the growing role of ASEAN to improve data collection on freshwater resources, its availability, and its quality? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. So I would hand over directly to Dr. Bongsok.
Thank you very much, sir, for your question. I think I appreciate that UNESCO share this important contribution to ASEAN and ASEAN member states in a different aspect in relation to water resource management, and also the way you also provide sound data information for that sort of planning, decision making, and also for a better future plan. I think I may share a quick my perspective. I think water issue is very complex. That is what is the statement everyone acknowledge. And I come from different scale, come from different sort of sector. So how to address the issue of water? I think no single solution can fit all. No single solution can fit all. So what I can say in terms of water management itself, it is part of art and science. It's not a sole science, a sole art. It's just in between where we have to address a particular context, a particular area, particular issue. I think what is, art and science. Science can provide a lot of meaningful in terms of resource mobilization, prioritization, investment, and so on and so forth. Of course, if the decision of the decision maker happens just one day, that's something gone. That's the way we have to do with our art and science, how we can play that well. This is in the good hand of all of us, how we can do that in particular context. So by saying this sort of art and science, when we say about this sort of water resource management, this involves a number of key factors. I think about the water diplomacy. The diplomacy can make a lot of difference. To me, it's not only diplomacy to address issues, to be a peace, but to create opportunity, to create prosperity for everyone. As long as this really creates opportunity and prosperity for everyone, this is the way conversation go. It's not a win-loss sort of situation where we have to put this upfront as the way we have to deal with science and art in that sort of conversation matter. So come to your point about this sort of data information collection. I think all ASEAN member states from water resource management, all the member states have been sort of long established different sort of data collection and it's sharing as well as the way reinforce those data information. But I tell you, one thing that I learned from experience to coordinate all that sort of water related issue, data information never enough. That the factual never enough. We do this sort of data collection for 20 years plus, it's still never enough. Because why? Because the challenge, emerging issue, and the development of the issue, it change over the time. Not talking about natural change, but also the decision of people change, the dynamic of society, the economic factor, and so on. Therefore, the continuous data and information collection is quite important. I really in line what you said. This is the way we should not cut. Otherwise, we cannot give the sound investment in terms of cost benefit, cost opportunity for water resource management. We continue that, but we still need to do this sort of art and science together. This to create sort of a lot of impact. In that sort of point, I think when you talk about this sort of local knowledge, we acknowledge the important local knowledge. That's the way I point out about local river-based organization, the way we promote this sort of document best practice and so on, and exchange among those people. But the most important, I think the traditional practice is not much devastating the natural environment. It's something, a major impact from a major development. This is the thing. That's why some of the countries still accept traditional practice. In many ways, even hunting. Hunting, the wildlife, it banned, but allow the traditional Aboriginal people to practice that. Why? Because it's not destroy all that sort of natural. It's just something else that really a massive destruction of those natural habitat. So I'm just would like to share here. I mean, we are in line with you, and then this is the way we have to do all aspects of art and science in order to address the water resource management by engage all the key players and stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fong Sok, for answering the questions and also highlighting the importance of the data collecting efforts, and also that the country needs to provide budget, specific budget, continuous budget for data collecting, especially on the hydrometeorological data, as explained by the gentleman in the middle of the room. So I think I would like to give the opportunity now to the online participants. I have some questions here already sent to me through WhatsApp by the organizer. If I may start with the question to MRC. So we have Siti Subeki from University of Gajah Mada, Indonesia. The Mekong River Basin is a strategically vital region within ASEAN, characterized by a complex interplay of actor interests. The development activities of both upstream and downstream countries, particularly the construction of hydropower dams, significantly impact the livelihood of communities residing along the river. The question is, how can the Mekong River Commission, as a river basin organization, not river basin organization, maybe transboundary institutions, effectively navigate power relations with upstream countries to advocate for the interests of downstream countries, specifically within the fishery sectors through the application of water diplomacy?
Thank you for your question. As I explained already for the MRC mechanism, so in the MRC, it means that for the Lower Mekong, we have the 1995 agreement. So it means that we have to, if 4 countries, for Thailand, Laos, PDR, Cambodia, and Vietnam have to follow for the 1995 agreement and procedure and technical guidelines from our country. So before doing some development in Mekong River. For the main Mekong River, we have to do for the or consultant or some notification for the for 4 countries to allow to do for that. And we have for Lan Chang Mekong for the cooperation with China and Myanmar. So we have the meeting and we have activity and many for the action plan together for the MRC and Lan Chang Mekong committee we have to do together. That so it means that now we try to make the platform from the to operate for the water resource management from the upstream to downstream. So now we are doing the same platform together. Thank you.
So thank you. I understand that the effort is more related on the platform provided by MRC to maybe also open the data also as well between countries, so we can also manage better water resources and allocations. Thank you for answering this. So one last question, I think, if I may, because we only have 15 minutes left for Q&A. One question from the online participants is from Mr. Hoferdi Zawani from Resilience Development Initiative. This is dedicated to the ASEAN Secretariat. How ASEAN Secretariat make use of water diplomacy to balance competing priorities of AMS to accelerate access of quality water and to achieve ASEAN Climate Vision 2050, given that water resource management play a crucial role in climate change adaptations?
Thank you very much, online participant. I think as all of us here, a lot of expectation when we talk about ASEAN, a lot of expectation. We as an NGO to address everything. But in fact, at ASEAN have some limitation and constraint, but I'm not saying as a good excuse, but it's the real thing, you have to acknowledge. And we work together. That's why my early point is that ASEAN belongs to everyone. Everyone provides solution. It's not ASEAN Secretariat alone. So I think with that, I think in terms of this subject matter, as you may have learned, ASEAN as a regional intergovernmental organization. I'm saying here in front of Ambassador, I may state wrong, but I mean, what I say here, regional level, which is also run the same sort of model from my own sort of perspective about this sort of thinking globally, act locally. You know, this all the things that we have doing so far, ASEAN level, majority try to provide this sort of platform of engagement, provide information base, provide capacity building, provide sort of opportunity people to engage, to discuss, to do things together. However, at the real sense of action of doing things, it really at the ground, at the country level. What we do, provide this sort of capacity building, provide tool, provide model and support, and also engage other partners to invest to promote any resource mobilization or expert sort of support. This is the way ASEAN doing in general. Correct me, I'm wrong, or the correct, but that's the thing we are doing. So we believe this is the way ASEAN continues to do, provide this sort of important platform, provide the engagement, provide the capacity building, provide tool, provide instrument, and also provide support to the member states where needed in the capacity of ASEAN in collaboration with other partners. I mean, some of the aspects we see this sort of issue, but we cannot do much because we also limit in terms of resource in manpower. ASEAN Secretariat not a specialized agency, not a think tank, not a research group. Even if you ask me about the water resource management, I have no idea, no clue about water resource management. But that is what I share here in relation to my professional experience in the past. But it's not fully in the role of ASEAN Secretariat doing this sort of water management standpoint as a technical environmental water resource management. No, we are not. We're more on administration, facilitate, coordinate with even sectoral body on this aspect. Now, before I forgot one of the important points from the youth, I mean this because I really want to contribute as a last session. I think the one you asked about the funding, I think I may say this funding, I received the youth question everywhere about funding. Funding is a challenge for everyone, not only youth, adult, professional, institutional, all have this sort of challenge, different funding. Even in the country, one agency have more fund than another, always funding problem. So how to improve that? I know I do not have any specific opportunity, but one I would like to provide simple guidance. I mean, not disappointment, continuous engagement, not to give up. This is the most important. Why not to give up? It start to communicate and look out for the opportunity. And by looking out for the opportunity, I think you have all that sort of instrument because your question in relation to monitoring, evaluation, or whatever communication, I think we have all tools in place in the fingertip. You have your smartphone with the map, with the GPA, with everything. I think this is the most powerful tool. It just needs to record and communicate. You can use this sort of fingertip tool as a technology, as the opportunity to communicate, to report, to do many other things, networking. Social media and technologies play important and crucial role. Try to look at this, don't leave it behind for just entertainment. The sum of the aspect is quite important. For reporting about the water issue, you just take photo, water pollution survey, you can see easily. It doesn't need any rocket science. If you talk about flood, you can take the photo from the flood side, comparing to whatever the tree, the house, you can see. If you say about a drought, you just take the photo, that's it, with the GPA reference and take that map as a screenshot. This is really powerful tool for communicate, for coordinate with all the government and also the partner. I think this is important reference material for you to submit and call for any sort of support. That's what I can share. And it doesn't need a rocket science and satellite image and so on. At this case, it's really up to you to make use of all this fingertip. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fong Sok, for highlighting also we need to see as much as possible low-hanging fruit available in front of us, including our smartphone, and also keep engaging through regional dialogue like this. I think it's a good opportunity for us to also connect between each others. I have one last question. We still have about 6 minutes. To Mekong River Commissions. This question is from Prince Ernest Eugene Ronson Sabado, student think tank for Europe-Asia Relations, National Cheng Chi University. How do you think can water diplomacy be leveraged outside the major Mekong arrangement in select ASEAN member states. As earlier stated, water diplomacy entails national security, and goes beyond Mekong in affecting livelihood across disputed or critical waterways concerning ASEAN and the larger ASEAN regions. How do you think can water diplomacy be utilized when political matters are interlinked in this scene, which may not necessarily reflect the challenges, success, and experiences of the Mekong River Commission? Thank you. The question is
Thank you for the question. I think now we have many for the high level policy and direction for the global level, regional level, and for the national level. So I think it's better for the practitioner to follow and to help and to make the policy and the direction from the global level, regional level, and the national level come true. That may it means that we can go to the goal of the diplomacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think it's good for us to now wrap up the discussions. I would like to present you a few key takeaways. I hear that learning exchanges between countries have become more and important, and we need to also do a lot of effort on this, not only from ASEAN or from Mekong River countries, but also from development partners, also research organizations. We can start to collaborate between countries to others inside the research communities. And also the issues in ASEAN, which is related to the water quantity, water quality, and water competitions. Also the importance of highlighting the availability budget for the data collecting, especially on the hydrometeorological data. The important also to engage stakeholders outside government itself or ASEAN country member states through ASEAN Water Security Dialogue together with MRC and also maybe from other development partners activities or even university to involve more and more communities into this policy development for countries. Also, I highlight the importance of innovative financing mechanisms, which can also be tapped by communities and also marginalized people. Now, the operational arrangement and joint bodies such as river basin organizations or bilateral commissions offer a solid foundations upon which country can exchange data, deepen their collective knowledge of climate change scenario, and even develop joint or coordinated adaptation plan and strategies, including for the national adaptation needs. And I also hear that for country with no transboundary water operational arrangement in place, country can also consider the opportunity to initiate or even strengthen collaborations, maybe through joint scientific research or maybe data collecting opportunities, also which can lead to the policy paper to kickstart and initiate political transboundary cooperation between countries. So thank you very much once again for our panelists for your insightful contribution today. The discussion has been very rich and we've heard invaluable perspective on the critical issue of water diplomacy with MRC and ASEAN's regional water security agenda. I would like also to thank all of you in the audience for your active participations, whether through your thoughtful questions or your attention throughout the sessions. It's your engagement that helped make this discussion so impactful. And as we conclude today's panels, I would like to encourage all of us to reflect on the insights shared and think about how we can contribute to advancing water security in Southeast Asia regions, whether in our professional roles, local communities, or through supporting regional initiatives. And as mentioned also earlier, we all play a part in ensuring that our shared water resources are managed sustainably and equitably for future generations. Thank you once again to our STEM panelists, and thank you for each of you attending as we wrap up. I would like to extend our gratitude to the organizing team for making this event possible and to everyone who contributed to today's conversations. We look forward to continue the dialogue, and on behalf of Global Water Partnership, we believe that we will keep supporting ASEAN Mekong River Commissions in bridging the stakeholder dialogue into the processes inside the organizations. And we look forward to continuing the dialogue and seeing the positive outcomes of our collective efforts. Thank you very much once again. So I will hand over back to our master ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis, for facilitating such an engaging sessions. Thank you as well for all of the speakers, Dr. Pang Sok and also Dr. Surasri Kittimontan. You might be seated again. Thank you.
Collaboration between all of us.
Let's give a round of applause again for all of our speakers and our moderator. Excellencies, distinguished speakers, moderator, ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude the third and final sessions of the ASEAN-IPR Discussion Series 2025. Before we end our sessions, I would like to inform participants that the organizer have prepared the QR code for participants to scan to obtain the e-certificate for today's sessions. For online Zoom participants, the link is in the chat box. We express our sincere gratitude to the ASEAN IPR Governing Council and Advisory Board, the mission